If you want to learn Java programming, then of course the first thing you need is Java itself. The question, however, is which edition? There are two main editions of Java, Java SE, the standard edition, and Java EE, the enterprise edition. Java SE, the standard edition, defines the core Java language, and it's the Java version used in this video course. Java EE is essentially Java SE with the addition of some libraries having to do with enterprise and web applications. Now, in real life, you're very likely to do enterprise applications. Web applications and other enterprise applications are the most common application area of Java. However, even though you're likely to do enterprise applications in real life, you should still download the standard edition Java SE. The reason for that is most people implement enterprise applications in Java not by downloading Java EE, but by taking Java SE and then pointing at the enterprise libraries that come bundled with their application server, where an application server is something like JBoss or WebLogic or WebSphere or Apache Tomcat or something like that. So the long and the short of it is download Java SE to start with. The latest Java SE version is version 8, so of course you should get version 8. However, this is a good time for me to describe the difference between this video lesson and another video lesson I have called Java 8 Lambda Expressions and Streams. So this video lesson, the one that you're listening to right now, is for somebody who wants to learn Java programming in general and wants to use the latest version, Java 8. So if that describes you, you're in the right place. Keep going, listen on. You're doing everything correctly. If, however, you already know Java, say you're a Java 7 programmer and you just want to learn the new features of Java 8, then you should be looking at the separate live lessons that I've highlighted here, Java 8 Lambda Expressions and Streams. The naming conventions for Java are a little bit confusing. Sometimes you see references to Java 8. Sometimes you see references to JDK, Java Development Kit 1.8. In general, the Java Development Kit, JDK, numbers go 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5, whereas the main high-level Java versions jump around. But the essential point is the latest version of Java is Java 8. And sometimes you'll see it referred to as Java 8. Sometimes you'll see the compiler referred to as JDK, Java Development Kit 1.8. They mean the same thing. Speaking of Java versions, let's give a quick summary of how Java has evolved over the last 10 years. Java 5, aka JDK 1.5, was a major change to Java. It introduced generic types, it introduced printf, it introduced @override, and it introduced what then was the new for loop, which is now the standard for loop. All of the things are still important in Java. All of those things we'll discuss in upcoming sections. Java 6 and Java 7, however, were relatively minor updates. They added some things to collections. They updated the graphical user interfaces. Java 7 added the fork-join parallel programming framework, which is important and we'll talk about. But overall, they were relatively minor changes to Java. They didn't fundamentally change the way Java works, whereas Java 8 is an extremely major update, and it fundamentally changes the way Java works. So this live lesson introduces the whole gamut of Java programming, but consistently uses the Java 8 approach throughout. All right, if you get to choose which Java version to use, naturally you ought to choose the latest version because it's the most powerful and it's the fastest. However, for web applications, server-side applications, sometimes you don't get to choose. In particular, you might have an app server that's already running on a previous version of Java, and either the vendor hasn't yet supported Java 8 or your company has not yet gotten around to updating things to Java 8. So if you're doing web applications, it's possible that you might be using Java 1.7. If you can choose, use Java 8. Java 8 is a perfect fit for enterprise applications, but sometimes you don't get to choose. So there might be some of the sections that we'll cover here, in particular the lambdas and streams, that you might not get to apply right away. If you're going to do desktop applications, of course you should use Java 8. And for desktop applications, you more or less get to choose the Java version, so always choose Java 8. For phone applications, however, you have a problem. Android applications, the entire operating system is written in Java, and so the applications naturally are written in Java as well. Unfortunately, Google supplies the Java environment for Android. And Google, at least as of 2015, supports only Java 6, which means that the fork-join parallel programming library that we'll cover later, and most importantly, the entire set of tools with lambdas and streams are not, at least this year, available to you if you're an Android developer. That's too bad, but that's the way it is. Finally, browser applications were very common in the early days, but they're very rare nowadays. Nowadays, browser applications are mostly relegated to intranets. So inside your company, you can specify that Java 8 is the standard. Browser applications are not so common for externally facing internet applications. All right, there's 2 links you need to know about. The top link is for downloading Java itself. And the second link, which you should immediately bookmark, is for the online Java API. Let's take a look at both of those. Okay, so to download Java, you go to the link that we just showed you, and you either click on this large box or this small box. They're the same thing. But the important thing is that you click on a link that says JDK, Java Development Kit, not a link that says JRE, Java Runtime Environment. The JDK includes a compiler that will take a Java source file, .java file, and produce a class file, a .class file. So that's something that a Java developer needs. A JRE is used only when you have a class file that somebody else wrote and compiled and you want to run it. So make sure that you get the JDK. Now we'll talk more about integrated development environments, IDEs, later, but the point is that which development environment for Java, Eclipse, NetBeans, or IntelliJ IDEA that you use is largely a matter of personal preference and taste. So we're going to be using Eclipse in this video series because Eclipse empirically is the one that's most widely used. But a lot of people prefer IntelliJ IDEA or prefer NetBeans or even prefer one of the smaller niche IDEs. If you prefer NetBeans, then click on this link instead of, not in addition to, the one on the left. And that'll give you the NetBeans development environment bundled with the latest JDK version. Next, it's very important that you bookmark the online API for Java. That will be the single most important reference for you as a Java developer. So once you've bookmarked it, you can get to it easily. We'll look at it in more detail later, but let me give you a quick summary of how the online API works. The first point is that the online API covers everything in all of Java. And when I say that, I'm not exaggerating because this is true by definition. If a class or a method is in the online API, it's part of Java. If a class or a method is not in the online API, by definition, it's not part of Java. This not only explains what all those methods are, but it defines which methods are part of Java. All right, so this will be the most common and important reference for you as a Java developer. Make sure you have it bookmarked. And there are 3 ways that you use it. One way you use it is by starting in the top left corner where you have packages. That's very useful once you're an experienced Java programmer, but it's not useful when you're a beginner. A package in Java is a collection of related Java classes. The problem is if you're a beginner, you don't know which packages correspond to which capabilities, so you don't really know where to look. But eventually, once you kind of get some experience, you'll say, oh, java.lang, that's the package where string and math is. Oh, java.util, that's the package where list and map is. Oh, java.net, that's the package where socket is. So once you gain a bit of experience, the package box in the top left corner is a place where you'll often start. The next place you look is the bottom left corner, describes all of the classes. Again, this is very useful once you have some experience, but not so useful when you're a beginner. So if you know, oh, string is the class that I care about, then you can search for it. So you can type Control F, you can type in string, and you can search for a while until you find the string class. You can click on it, and then you can browse through the API on the right-hand box and see all the methods, all the variables, and all the constructors that the string has. So again, that's useful once you know that string is the thing that you want. But if you're really a beginner, then the index is probably where you start. So go to the right-hand box and click on index. So suppose you say, gee, I suppose that Java has a way of computing a sine and a cosine. But I don't know what class it's in, and I don't know what the method name is. There's two places to look. The first thing you can do is you can go to the entry called G. Now I'm looking for sign, but I go to G because in some cases the methods start with the word get sign, get cosine. Now once you have experience, you would have known, oh, sign is probably a static method. It doesn't start with the word get. But it takes quite a bit of experience to know that. So make sure that if you're looking in an obvious place like S for sine or C for cosine, you also look under G and you search for get sign, and you'll see it doesn't exist under G. So you say, oh, well, if it doesn't exist under G, it's probably there under S. So you click on the index, you go to S, and you search for SIN parenthesis, and you find it. And it says, oh, it's in the math class, so you call it with math.sign, and it says very clearly that it takes radians, not degrees, as arguments. So the top left corner gives you packages. It takes some experience to know where to look. The bottom left corner are classes. It takes some experience to know where to look. But if you don't know either of those, start with the index. Look under the obvious name, sine, cosine, log, but also look under G, get sine, get cosine, get log if you're not sure.